Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the incredibly complex geopolitical stakes behind one single phone call and really dig into what it means for India's future. You know, geopolitics can often feel like this distant, abstract game played by diplomats behind closed doors. But today, we're going to look at how decisions made at the absolute highest levels of government literally ripple out to affect everything, from global supply chains right down to the price of your daily commute.
So let's dive right in and ask the big question. Why on earth does a conversation between two leaders sitting thousands of miles away matter to your wallet? I know it sounds like an exaggeration, right? Like, no way it actually affects me. But in this hyper-connected world of ours, especially when we're talking about West Asia, a single diplomatic exchange can signal massive shifts. We're talking shifts that impact maritime trade, global energy security, and even the speed of the global economic recovery.
To get to the bottom of this, here's our agenda. We'll be speeding through the Modi-Netanyahu conversation, the history of their partnership, the West Asia stakes, the pillars of present relations, and finally, India's geopolitical balancing act. Let's get to it.
Section 1, the Modi-Netanyahu conversation. We are going to start right in the present with the exact catalyst for today's analysis.
Picture this. It's August 7th, 2026. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu get on the phone. Now, this was definitely no routine Friday catch-up. This call happened right in the thick of continuing geopolitical tensions in a region that has, let's be honest, witnessed prolonged and severe instability. Their focus was heavily locked on regional stability and strengthening the India-Israel strategic partnership. And look, when two major global players jump on a highly coordinated call like this during a time of peak tension, the whole world pays attention.
If you look at the specific agenda for that call, it really highlights exactly what India's primary concern is. Sure, they evaluated regional security challenges and the direct risks of further escalation, which is standard. They talked about combating terrorism and cross-border violence, but the real kicker? Protecting vital maritime trade routes. This right here shows that India's deep underlying concern is the broader global consequence of prolonged instability in West Asia. For India, long-term peace in this region isn't just a political talking point. It's absolutely crucial for global economic recovery.
Moving into Section 2, History of the Partnership. To fully grasp what's happening today, we've got to look back at how we got here. The steady, measured growth of these ties is actually fascinating. India officially recognized Israel way back in 1950. But, get this, it wasn't until 1992 that full diplomatic relations were actually established. From that point forward, though, the relationship took off. It accelerated rapidly until culminating in 2017, when the two nations proudly announced a comprehensive strategic partnership. It's a pretty incredible evolution, moving from basic recognition to becoming highly integrated strategic partners on the world stage.
Which brings us to Section 3, the West Asia stakes. Why is this specific region of the map so incredibly vital?
Well, the absolute crux of the matter is energy security. India imports a whopping 85% of its crude oil. Let that sink in for a second. 85%. Unless you're exclusively walking everywhere you go, you are heavily relying on West Asian countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the UAE. I mean, this region alone supplies nearly a third of the entire world's crude oil. India is undeniably, fundamentally reliant on this continuous flow of energy to power its massive economy and keep its industries humming.
And here is how the dominoes fall. It all starts at a geographical choke point called the Strait of Hormuz. This is one of the world's busiest oil transit routes. If a conflict disrupts this single waterway, boom, we hit step 2, a sudden, sharp increase in global crude oil and shipping prices. And that leads directly to step 3, rising inflation and a widened current account deficit back in India, which essentially chokes economic growth. This is exactly how geopolitical tension thousands of miles away translates into you paying more for everyday goods.
But hey, it's not all about oil and economics, right? It's about people. This staggering number, 9 million, represents the Indian diaspora living and working in West Asia right now. More than 9 million Indian citizens call this volatile region home. Their safety, their welfare in conflict zones, their employment, and those vital remittances they send back home are of massive importance. Protecting these citizens is a top-tier national priority for New Delhi. Okay, let's zoom back in to look at the very specific ties between these two nations in Section 4, Pillars of Present Relations. The contrast in this partnership is honestly mind-blowing.
On the macro level, you have intense security cooperation. Israel is now one of India's top suppliers of cutting-edge defense equipment, missile systems, drones, UAVs, top-tier border management tech. But then, completely on the other end of the spectrum, you have localized civilian cooperation. They're working together through centers of excellence across Indian states to completely revolutionize agricultural innovation and water conservation. It's wild. You've got top-secret defense tech operating right alongside grassroots farming and irrigation solutions.
So these diverse pillars prove that the strategic partnership from 2017 isn't just empty diplomatic talk. It's actively shaping the future of both nations. They are cooperating heavily on counterterrorism and cybersecurity, pushing the absolute boundaries in AI and space tech, integrating major defense systems, and driving innovation in life-sustaining resources like water. It is a deeply, deeply multifaceted relationship.
And that brings us to our final act, Section 5. India's Geopolitical Balancing Act. Navigating these cozy ties with Israel requires heavily managing relationships with the rest of a very divided region.
To truly understand how India pulls this off, you absolutely have to grasp this one concept: strategic autonomy. This is the bedrock of India's modern foreign policy. Basically, it means India insists on maintaining independent, strong relations with competing powers. The ultimate goal? Protecting its own national interests, like that oil, the trade, the 9 million expats, without taking sides in other people's wars. It's all about maintaining total independence in decision-making.
So let's map out what this real-world tightrope walk actually looks like. With Israel, the focus is heavy on defense and tech, but simultaneously, India maintains its historic support for Palestine, strongly advocating for a negotiated two-state solution. At the very same time, they're courting Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which are absolutely vital for energy security and hosting that huge diaspora. And then there's Iran, a crucial partner for regional connectivity. It's like playing three-dimensional chess. India is actively managing ties with historical rivals all at once, ensuring its lifelines remain open no matter which way the geopolitical winds blow.
So you're probably wondering, how do they manage this without totally alienating anyone? Well, they do it by strictly adhering to a set of neutral, diplomatic principles. Whenever a conflict flares up, India consistently advocates for peaceful resolution and total respect for international law. As I mentioned, they never waver on their support for a two-state solution. They always prioritize dialogue over escalation, and they constantly push for the protection of civilians. By leaning hard into these principles, India keeps its strategic autonomy intact and avoids getting dragged into the regional mud. But let's be real, the future is never guaranteed. As the risks to shipping routes persist, as global oil prices stay terrifyingly volatile, and as the stakes in West Asia just keep getting higher, I want to leave you with this final thought. Can India actually maintain this delicate, high-wire balancing act as global competition intensifies? Actually, managing this strategic autonomy might just be the absolute greatest test of Indian diplomacy we'll see in our lifetimes. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the connections that shape our world.